Hi there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield, the producer of the podcast and a teacher here at the Demon, and joining me today is Demon student Ben. Ben, you're here to tell your LSAT story because you just crushed the LSAT. Is that right?
I did, June LSAT.
Congratulations. Well,
Thank you, thank you.
super excited to have you. Excited to talk about what got you there and some tips that you might have for other students. First off, tell me, you took the test in June. What did you
Right.
end up scoring?
171.
171. All right. And that's goal score was above a 170. What were you thinking?
Uh, the goal score changed during the entire process
Okay.
as I learned about the LSAT because I decided I wanted to take the LSAT before I learned anything about the LSAT.
Okay.
So it went from me thinking it was like kind of like an IQ test and you just scored like how you scored to realizing you could prep for it, and then once I realized you can prep for it, the score just kept going up by like 5 points, and so I was like, we can do 170s, especially when I started seeing it materialize. So I was just like, go
Yeah,
until it stopped, kind of thing.
absolutely. So let's back up to that point. You say you decided to take the LSAT before you really knew what it was. What was the inspiration? What made you want to do the LSAT and to go to law school, I guess is the better question to ask.
So maybe since about like mid to 2024, at my job, we have been kind of like really doing a lot of like initiatives toward developing our own machine learning stuff, because I'm a scientist. I work for a biopharmaceutical research
Okay.
company, like a
Okay.
major one. And as I was doing that, I was like, there's so many things going on with this, including the legal aspect of where you can get training data, what data you can use, what you can't use, what the implications of where it comes from are. And I was kind of always have a bug to go to school in general, and I've always part of me always wanted to go to law school, but I ended up kind of like finding a lot of success in science and just
Mm-hmm.
kind of never really finding a place until I was like, this is really interesting. And like, you could see yourself managing like something like a patent portfolio or driving the direction that these kind of innovations are going by understanding like the legal aspects of what would make something unique and patentable and how you
No.
would have to defend that. And I just became interested in it. And so I just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to take the LSAT. I'm going to law school. Like just one day I woke up with the commitment of doing that with no idea what that meant. I 2 days before I started prepping for it, I found a bunch of stuff for logic games, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not very good at this, but this is fun." And quickly found out they were gone, and
That's
that's
I mean
and that's
I
how that started.
I bet a scientist who does machine learning probably was disappointed at the lack of logic games.
I did like I was like, I can get used to this. I was like, "Oh, this is learnable. This is probably so much fun." So I looked up how you practice take one, and they were just like, the games are gone, like literally on the thing, and I was like, oh, well, whatever.
Yeah, you were a year behind, but I mean, obviously you're scoring in the 170, so it wasn't too big of a problem. So I take it then, talking about your work a little bit here, you are not a KJD. You're not going right from your undergraduate to law school. How long have you been in the workforce?
13 years.
13 years. Okay.
Hmm.
We get students who will wait 2 or 3 or 4 years, and or the prospect of waiting 2 or 3 or 4 years really makes them panic a little bit, right? In their mind, it was always you finish the undergrad, you go to law school, and they never really considered working in between. And that's something that they see as like a negative as opposed to a positive. Do you feel like you're starting law school too late?
No, I feel like I needed to do what I did to be even capable of doing it, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think I do not think I would have had the level of maturity required to muster the effort necessary to do what needed to be done to score like that, let alone actually attend law school when
Yeah.
I was that young.
I've been in the workforce, not as long as you. I've been there for 5 years, but I'm the same way. Like anytime I hear, and it's interesting because a lot of the candidates that I talk to, who on these success stories, a lot of them are non-traditional, right? Like I even don't love that description, but they are ones who have had work experience that now as well informs what you want to do in the legal profession as well.
Yeah, it seemed common for a lot of people that I was talking to, especially in the Demon Discord,
Mm-hmm.
that some people would have some amount of work under their belt. There were some who were just professionals, because when I explain my plan and what I'm doing, people are like, "You're changing careers," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like I'm
Right,
actually not
right.
changing my career. I'm just adding a what I perceive and what people I work with perceive to be a really unique and useful toolkit that, you know, not a lot of people want to do because I guess they have more common sense than I do. But
Sure,
like,
sure.
but it's it's an effort. And if you like to challenge yourself and you like to demonstrate that you don't get fooled by people who are trying to fool you, it's a really fun exercise.
Yeah. So let's jump into some LSAT studying then. It sounds like you have a fairly demanding job that you were working while you were studying for the LSAT. So what was your study schedule like?
When I developed one, um, it was basically I just removed like video games from my life.
Okay.
But I'm a very busy person. So like
Sure.
aside from work, me and my wife have a 5 acre farmlet that we run. So I keep bees. I have two beehives right now, 20 something chickens. We had a full size horse at the time, too many horses, a turkey who actually factors strongly into my LSAT prep as time went on. So I had all those responsibilities on top of work. So basically, what I did was just kind of police my dilly dallying because a lot of people do that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to kind of like not realize that you're dilly dallying a lot of the time. So my study schedule was basically like wake up, knock out a couple questions, come home, eat, hang out, and then spend another, you know, couple hours at night studying. So nothing like wildly crazy. I ended up finding a good group of people to study with from the LSAT Demon Discord, who are all LSAT students. We would occasionally burn the midnight oil a long time, but that was fun. That was always a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so you would say how many hours in a typical week or day were you saying that you're studying?
In a week, maybe like 14
Okay.
to 20.
So
20.
around 2 hours.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like, because we did a lot of, like, we would use the daemon, use the explanation system in our study group, and sometimes that would just go longer because we would kind of do the same sort of format that you guys do in your class, where, like, basically somebody would have a first crack at it, read
Mm-hmm.
the argument, knock out the predictions, look at the answers, and nobody would talk, no peanut gallery until that person committed to something. Then everybody can kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
do it. And that just like took longer, but that wasn't like stressful.
Sure.
So like that would add some time, but that wasn't, and it also ensured review when things were wrong.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
which I found, which I found to be probably the most useful
Yeah, absolutely.
thing to do.
So what? I guess I jumped the gun a little bit here. When was the first practice test that you took? What was your diagnostic, your cold diagnostic? And so how long was this LSAT journey?
Okay, so I woke up on my 37th birthday and
Okay.
did a diagnostic test. Never looked at a single non logic games question for the
Okay.
LSAT,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I got a 155.
Okay. 155. And when was your 37th birthday?
December 9th.
December 9th. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going 6 months studying then from December 9th. What is you talked a little bit about, well, let's back that up real quick. I'm not going to let you get away with this whole the turkey factored into the LSAT studying.
Yeah.
How does the turkey factor into the LSAT studying?
The turkey strongly factored in my decision to take the LSAT in person and not remotely. So,
Okay.
but which I'll get to. But I took the diagnostic, and I was kind of just like looking at local schools in the area because I figured I'd go part time or just kind of like formulate my plan as I went. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, there's some schools in the area that the 155 is fine, and I didn't understand that you could get better.
Hmm.
And told my wife my score, and I was like, look, I got a 155, and I finished these things like 5 minutes before the time was done. And before I had even actually knew that you guys were a test prep company, she looked at me and she's like, "Why would you finish before the time?" She was like, that doesn't seem like that would be helpful." And then just went about her business. And I was like, "Well, how do you know?" So like,
Well, if your wife would like to come on the show, it sounds like she might have some insight as well.
I'm trying to
So,
get her to take the LSAT. Actually, she would blow me out of the water at it, actually. So
well, your wife is right.
mhm.
Finishing doesn't. isn't the end goal, right? It's getting questions right, and so not only not finishing, but not finishing with time, especially, right? And missing questions. So, what would you say were like the most helpful things as you were studying that you did?
So the first thing was find you guys, honestly. So like I had listened like maybe like when I started dabbling to the Thinking LSAT podcast just as like an algorithm thing. Like
Sure.
I got the Thinking LSAT podcast and I listened to other stuff that was just odd. Like people were
Okay.
talking about the LSAT, but it just seemed weird.
Okay.
And then it was like Nathan and Ben and that brand of realism. Like I was like, this is probably actually how things are. I was like, this seems like the most realistic, like sort of depiction. It might go a little hard, but it's
Sure.
probably really accurate. Like, and I'm just like, that makes sense. So I started listening to them, and I didn't understand they had a test prep company at the time. So I kind of just dropped my score on the internet, and I was like, well, what do I do? Should I prep? And people were like, dude, with a 155, you absolutely should prep. Just like take a couple months. So the most helpful thing I ever did was Google test prep company, find the link between you guys, sign up, and I was like, oh, they have a dark mode. I'm in. I was like, we'll figure this out because everything else has been bright. And probably the single most useful thing, aside from like kind of just using like the lessons in the classes,
Mhm.
was taking the advice not to take the test in January because I was gonna take the test in January and I didn't do it.
Who gave you
So
that advice?
it was just don't take it till you're ready, right?
Oh, okay, okay. So just the
So it was
general,
like, and
yeah.
I was like, I'm, my score is changing. Like there's progress happening here. Don't take it. And I was like, okay, I wanted to, but I didn't do it.
Okay.
And
So
just continuing to study was the best thing I did.
you wait then, you don't take it till January, you wait until June.
Hmm.
Was that the only is that the one was that a one time? You took it once, you waited till you're ready, you got your
No,
score.
I took it
Okay.
twice.
Took it twice.
So after I didn't take it in January, my score was getting better using the Demon, whatever the first tier is that you get some of the questions, and I was like, just take the classes for a month. I was like, just pay, take the classes for a month.
Yep.
People in the Discord seem excited about it. There seems to be a community there, so I did that. That was super helpful
Okay.
because I ask questions, I talk, I clearly don't worry about sounding stupid. So like, and so I found, um, I ended up having a good RC class where Beatrice was subbing, and
Okay.
she really helped kind of like clarify some issues I had with like figuring out analogy questions just by talking through some of that stuff. I think it's Emily's classes were great. I would do the lunchtime LRs. That's who I think it was Emily that was doing that. I
Kaylee
found
teaches the lunchtime
Kaylee,
hours.
Kaylee,
Yeah, yeah,
Kaylee, yeah.
yeah.
I would do those at noon. That was super convenient for me. And I just found listening to people actually do the thing that needs to be done, which is engage with the argument, to just be
Hmm.
very helpful.
Okay.
It just was very helpful to me.
Yeah. You felt like you could replicate that
Yeah.
process when you saw people doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you sign up, you do live for that month,
Hmm.
you do the classes. When did you take your official test?
April.
You took it in April. So at
Hmm.
that point, were you practice testing in the range that you were happy with?
Yes.
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 Okay.
So I kind of did. You. It kind of goes like this,
Yeah,
right?
it's not linear.
And then you end up
yeah.
kind of where you want to be, and it's still wiggling around, but it's not this like chaotic.
Hmm.
Like you get lucky, you get the breaks, versus like you can kind of hold on better and get more of the score you want.
Yep.
So I was there the first time. Scores don't even matter so much, I think, because like the curves can be so wild. I was like a good -6, 7 reliably around the end of February.
Okay. Okay.
And before that, I could get sunned real bad
Okay.
sometimes. Like, but it took about there to kind of like stabilize.
Yep.
And I was like, take April.
Okay.
You can take April.
You can take April. Take April. What was your score in April?
Score in April was 167.
Okay.
And
So you go from deciding that a 155 is probably okay, finding out on the internet that you should really maybe do a little more. You get a 167, and why did you say, well, 167 is not good enough for me?
because it wasn't it was at the bottom of everything I had done, right? Like, so I was just like, this is the test looked exactly like all the other tests. Like when I took that test, I was the only thing I could say for certain is this is definitely an LSAT. Like this is not some alien thing that came out of nowhere, you know. And the day, obviously, you are nervous, and taking it once helps.
Hmm.
But taking it once when you're already where you want to be helps way more than taking it before you ever seen it before.
Hmm.
So like, you know, the test center smelled. I was complaining about that in the LSAT Demon Discord. Did not have a good odor to it. It was hot. The heater didn't work. They say they're going to give you noise canceling headphones. I get in, sit down. I'm like, these are earmuffs, man. These aren't noise canceling headphones. Like, so, you know, and I was nervous,
Yeah,
right? Like,
sure.
so I got a 167 and everybody in my life was like, wow. And I was like,
They
yeah,
don't
you
get
know,
it. They
like,
don't get
yeah.
it.
So I was like, I was on the fence too, because I was like, are you being silly? Do you really need to do this? And then I basically just went radio silent. I was like, you're taking it again, and just signed up to take it again.
Yeah. In terms of like attitude or the emotional impact, how did you feel after the 167? Was that discouraging?
No,
Why?
no, because it it just meant that like that the system worked, right?
Okay.
Like just because like as a scientist I see variance all the time,
Hmm.
which I think is like shockingly terrible to witness, like for like a lot of people, because this thing goes up and down, and I'm just like, I know it's in there, right? And
Hmm.
because like if you get like if you're consistently like -4 or something like that, like you're scoring
Sure.
like mid 170s or whatever,
Hmm.
there's a test out there for you that's like a 175, but there's also one out there for you that's like a 172.
Yep. Sure is.
Maybe even with almost the same score.
Yep.
So like there's going to be one out there for me. Plus you might do a little bit better, you know?
And you know, there's one test that on one day your testing center smells bad and is hot, and then the next testing center is nice and doesn't feel so bad.
And
And
yeah,
same
and that
test breaks different ways.
that's where the turkey factors in, because I have no environmental control of my home. Like things
Sure.
happen all the time. And the reason I had already known this, and I signed up to take the just to take the test in the testing center because I had known this. But
Okay.
I was sitting down. I don't think I was doing a practice test. It might have been a time section, but I know there was a clock. And
Okay.
I had sat down, and not even 2 minutes in it, I just hear a woman screaming outside of my home. And I go outside, and it's my mail woman, and she's being attacked by my turkey. And like followed around, like he thinks that she has food, and he's just. And I was like, yeah, you knew it. You knew what you had to do.
Right.
So I was like,
Yeah.
thanks, buddy. And then she gives me my mail. He leaves, and he's just like, like, and just wanders off somewhere.
Was he like actually attacking her, or was she just a little overreacting?
So, oh, she was horribly
Okay,
overreacting.
okay, okay. I was saying
Like,
if we're talking like a goose, totally
no, it's not like
legitimate.
that. No,
Totally
it's nothing like
legitimate.
that. He comes waddling up and he hisses, and it's a
Oh,
thing,
sure, sure.
you know. And she's like, "No, help!" And I'm like, "Sorry, like I'm sorry."
Don't they know you got to carry dog treats if you're a male person? You got to carry turkey treats if you're a male
You know,
person.
she actually ended up doing that.
I bet the turkey
So,
quit hissing at her.
French fries. She uses French fries.
French fries. Okay, all right. I never would have guessed. Never in a million years. Okay, so you're not discouraged, and maybe I'm asking some leading questions here, but I'm going to do it one more time. If you had taken it, you said the best advice you got was not taking it in January because you weren't ready yet. If you had got like taken it in January, score probably significantly lower than you want where you want it. Like how do you think that compares for people who take, because you say taking it once is helpful, and I completely agree with you there. But the key there is taking it once when your scores are in a spot that like a 167 is the worst you're going to do, as opposed to hitting it like at a 160.
I had no sense of control over the score I was getting
Okay.
at that time. So when I took my diagnostic, and then I basically just like kind of like ground my face on practice tests for like 2 weeks, and I
Okay.
just kept like taking them, and I never scored in the 150s again. I always scored in the low 160s after that, which now I just attribute to like seeing it once maybe, and just like you get used to it, because I did review it. Like I went
Mm-hmm.
over and I was like, oh, but I had just felt like I would have no control over what I was doing because there was a lot of things I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would just appeal to my mind and I would get lucky. And then other things would just be like I had no ability to survive the alligator roll that the LSAT does with you when it wants to make things hard, where it's like an easy argument, but it just starts babbling and it grabs you and it just starts spinning and spinning and spinning. I had no tool for that.
Sure.
And I would have just, I think I probably would have been discouraged because I could have gotten anything. I could have done worse. If I did worse, I don't know what I would have done. Like if I did worse than my diagnostic on
Hmm.
that test, I don't know what that would have done to my attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's such an important point too. Is like, it's. One student once said to me like, I didn't want to pay to be disappointed, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
that's a good attitude to
yeah,
have, right? You don't want to pay
it is.
$300 to go get disappointed. Okay, so June, how does June go? Is testing center better? You feeling better? What was different about June? Was there anything different, or did it
No,
just no?
there was not. Well, it didn't smell.
Okay,
I'll give them that, and the air conditioning worked. So I had those
okay.
two things going for me. But I again like I don't know. Can you talk about like the format? You can't talk about questions, but you can talk about like the pattern of
Yeah. Oh
tests that
yeah.
we
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So the first time I did it, I had RCLR, RCLR.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like agnostic to like the format that I get. I do love reading comp. I take it again and I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. RCLR, RCLR.
Okay.
So I
Exact
was like,
same.
whatever, man. I was like, this is fine. I like, because like LR is like objectively, I think it's easier to find it more fun because I think you get like more of a kind of like a feedback of like, oh, now I know
Sure.
how to not confuse sufficient for necessary or
Sure.
always solve a sufficient assumption question.
Yeah.
With reading comp, it's like, are you reading?
You're
Did you
right.
read it or not? And you're just like, I didn't. Like I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got a little
So
lazy in the second paragraph. You're
yeah,
right.
and like so I would say there was nothing different. It felt like an LSAT again.
Okay.
Um, but I will say that the four reading comp like sections total were some of the best reading I ever had on the LSAT. Like from any practice or anything, I was like, they were all just like hits. Like they were just all super interesting. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like
That's
so I had that
nice.
going for me. But other than that, it was the LSAT,
Yeah.
like through and through.
I think that's such good like I think that's so reassuring for students to hear because it's so easy to like mystify the official test and be like, oh, this is very different than what I'm actually doing in practice, and that's not actually the case. So
Yeah, I mean, because I hear that, you'd see some people be like, that was like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, and I'm like, technically, yes, it was nothing you had ever seen before, but like you had actually seen it before. Like it seemed very familiar.
I love to hear that. And I think we even got an email that we handled on the podcast a couple weeks ago, maybe, where someone said that they felt like June was the hardest LSAT administration ever. And it's always encouraging to hear students who come back and say, it just really was another test. And I think it's easy to let mental factors kind of cloud that sense of how difficult it was when you don't think about it just as another practice test.
I can imagine so. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so you have your score. You got the 171. Apparently, you are not satisfied with the 155 local schools plan that you had. So, what is the plan now that you have the score?
Well, the plan is complicated by additional options, you know. So
Sure.
I'm still working that together, but everybody was pretty pleased with the possibility of having some openings. There are a surprising amount of schools in the top 20 that are like right here,
Here
you know.
being
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it just depends on how I need to like what mix of like work and law school that we end up coming up with. And I was in no rush to apply.
Yeah.
I'm not applying this year. I'm
Oh,
I probably will put out applications in this, maybe August or something like that. Like I have stuff together, but I'm not in a crazy rush to do that. I think
okay.
probably like I think it would be nice to attend in 2026.
Okay.
Is kind of
Okay.
like what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for this next cycle, you're
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Okay.
which is also like this just seemed like such a pressure cooker thing that you could do to yourself. I was like, I'm just gonna wear like somebody was taking the LSAT in a suit.
Oh,
Like I was there in like this
Right.
and like a pair of shorts and flip flops. Like I was like, I'm not gonna torture myself. This is gonna be very hard anyway.
Well,
So
and you
like,
expected it to be hot again, so
yeah, it's
yeah.
true. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna aim high
Yeah.
and see what happens. I mean, like the benefit that I think, and maybe this is silly, but the thing about like the top schools that's different than anyone else is that because you're properly graded on a true curve, as I understand it, not just like give me more points because this was hard kind of curve, but an actual like normal distribution where like if everybody does good, you still get
Still
kind
get the
of,
distribution. Correct.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
employers, which I'm fortunate to have one already, but employers in general know not only you got a good education, but you competed against some of the best, and they
Absolutely.
know that that's different. So I think I think that competition actually will improve you. So that's something I'm considering.
Sure. That
But
makes
I mean,
sense.
there's lots of different situations. I know a lot of professionals who compete very well, and like even like there's night schools around here and stuff. So
Hmm.
like, it just depends on kind of like what I end up kind of focusing in because I'm going to start prepping for the patent exam probably
Okay.
next,
Okay.
just to get that done now. You know.
Good for you. Just you never stop, do you? Never always part.
Well, I mean,
You said you
it's
like
shocking
school,
how
you like
much
learning.
time you actually have. Like if you actually
Sh-
pay attention to like
sure.
what you're doing, it actually is shocking how much time you have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, do you have any other last thoughts, things that you were hoping to touch on that I didn't ask about?
uh,
Advice that you'd give?
yeah. So the ask button that you have,
Okay. Yep.
you know, I maybe submitted 1/1000th of the things that I actually intended to submit with that button because
Okay.
by the time you're done writing and you're really about to like do your last thing, you're like, oh,
You get
you're like,
it.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But which was fun. I also, yeah, one time I was using the notes because I was going through this point where I just like wasn't paying attention and like missing simple stuff, and I was like, read the damn question, but I actually accidentally sent that to the ask button, and I was like, I'm well, I'm sorry, I'm well, ignore that, don't worry. But yeah, I would just encourage people to like. It's amazing how similar your like the demon's kind of paradigm is to the actual directions at the beginning of the test. Like if you
Okay.
actually like read the test, it's like read each passing passage carefully. Like it's like the first thing it says, and then it's like don't make any assumptions that are not common sense. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it goes a long way.
Okay. All
Like
right.
it goes a real long way.
So the two takeaways there: ask button, use
Hmm.
it even if you don't submit it. The process of
Oh,
developing that
you
question.
may well not submit it, right? Like,
Right.
but it helps because
Yeah.
you just because you're not writing it. It just seems to be like different, and then
Sure.
you will come to some realization if you give it a shot, and if you
Okay.
don't, just hit okay, right? Like they answer you. Even when I was like not like super signed up, I got a response within like 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even
We
without being in the.
we don't miss 24 hours
Oh yeah.
with any student, any subscription level. So even if you're just a free
Hmm.
subscription, you can come in and use the ask button and you'll get answers. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Ben, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you. Congratulations on the awesome score, and best of luck in making those decisions with that combination of work and school.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, if you'd like to send in or come tell your demon success story, feel free to email daily at lsatdemon.com. Thanks for listening.